What's going on, y'all? Hope everyone's doing all right this afternoon. Welcome to another live stream. We're going to be telling stories. Thought I'd go on live. I wanted to go earlier, but hey, that's how it works. I had to get some Mexican food earlier. Don't judge me. I'm feeling a little husky right now. I'm a Husky Harris Jr. right now. But, Darvin McCauley. Dang, I guess I sent out an invite by accident. Well, I appreciate you joining through that share. TikTok they be taking it upon themselves when it comes to things. Let's see here. I hope everyone's doing all right. When we get some people in here, we'll start telling some spooky stories. I'd take a few day break from that. Be telling too much spooky stuff, get scared. But I was going through the archives, my notes, and I didn't realize how many stories I have just saved in the notes section of my phone. Anywhere from Shakota to Eufaula, Oklahoma, to Enid, Oklahoma, to... Dang, every time I think of Enid, Oklahoma, I think of Austin Box. Rest in peace. Let's see, what else? What other places do we have here? All over Oklahoma that I have stories from. I have stories from outside Okemah, Okmulgee, you name it. So I may let y'all pick what area of Oklahoma. I don't really have a lot of western Oklahoma. I really don't hear much from those people out that way. But it is what it is, I guess. At the end of the day, I just get what I can get. Talking about a hyena cryptid that I didn't really know if it was around like that, but it is. Bryn Hobbs. I grew up in Altus. My book takes place in Blair. Okay. Which reminds me, I saw your artwork for your book. What was it? A couple days ago. Man, that looks good. I might. Do you have a TikTok shop set up or anything? Or are you still working on the book? Because that looks a whole lot like. I read a book, and I can't remember the name of this book. But it had something similar, like a being simpler. It was a native adjacent book, I guess you could say. But no shop yet. Well, are you? Is it for sale? Or are you still working on it, Miss Hobbs? Yeah, I'd like to take a gander on your book when you get it published. Lewis Wells is the new one. Okay, where can you find that? Okay. Oh, start. Yeah, I think that's the one I saw the artwork for. Might have been. But that's awesome. We love. I guess like I said, I'm not am I a part of Book Talk? No. I see a lot of drama with that area. I don't know if it's just. I think with this is one thing too I'm going to say. With any community that we always have yeah, I stopped at the booth. Yeah, I had to stop by my wife's booth. Hey, let me, I'll message you, Miss Hobbs. I'll message you. But like I said, I'm not really a big fan. I'm not really big into the book talk, but I do come across books and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I've already deposited too. I did put some money in the account. We went and got Mexican earlier. I ate way too much queso. I'm feeling it right now, but that's all right. Yeah, I'll shoot you a message. I'd like to get my hands on your book. Yeah, man, always supporting native books. I have mine in the works. I'm going through my first rough draft. A lot of it's a Cherokee-based book. I'm Cherokee. It does have some mentions of Muskogee Creek in there too as well. But mine's about, we always talk about the ancient ones. and that's I don't want to get too much into it because I want to make sure that I flush it all out. But dang, thanks Betsy for all the gifts, for everything that you've done just in the last 5 seconds. But yeah, I'll have some material. I may do the first chapter. There's some parts of me that's in it. My mom was so funny. She is a huge reader. Like, her and my wife are big readers, and they had to laugh out loud with my first chapter. I started talking about my main character likes messing around with loose women. They said, "You talking about you, ain't you?" I was like, "Hey, now chill out. I've retired." But Joan, how's it going? Joan Sandoval entered the building. What's going on? Hope you're doing all right. We're gonna be telling all types of Oklahoma spooky stuff tonight. I mean, we can talk about all over the country. That's fine too. But we're gonna talk about Oklahoma. I got Oklahoma on my mind today. Oklahoma football, Oklahoma stories, me, Oklahoma. I'm born and raised. When are you guys releasing more videos on Spirit Talkers? So, Two Bear, I'm not on Spirit Talkers. I don't think I've been on Spirit Talkers for like 3 years. I haven't been on that. I haven't been on a co-host for that in like almost 3 years. You have to talk to those guys. Let's see. Joan says we're doing good. How's it going, bro? I'm doing good. I just got done eating some Mexican food. I had to let it flow through me. All pun intended, I guess. But eventually I want to do a live at my parents' house. There's some stories out there that, man, I was out. So I was helping my mom mow earlier. I was helping her out. She's getting bogged down in life as a retiree, and I was helping her mow out there today, and I started passing by that back fence, and where she had heard laughter coming from the woods. And then I'd kind of passed by another tree. Well, that's where I saw something poke its head behind a tree right there. I started remembering stories as I'm mowing. Oh, right here is where we had the LP kind of circle. It's like they were doing ceremonial stuff right there. So yeah, I was out there in Cherokee on the Cherokee Rest earlier today. So I got my mind. My mind is clear. I got to go home every now and then. I start getting bogged down Creek Nation life. Creek Nation, Muskogee Creek life. Y'all too flashy for me. Nah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we're going to be talking Oklahoma stories. We'll get some people in here. More people in here. I'll get it rocking and rolling. I always like doing a little I like easing our way into stories. I don't want people getting too scared out there. I don't want y'all have to be on the couch listening to this and curl up in a ball under a blanket. I don't want y'all doing that. It's still daytime. But if you haven't, YouTube, Warcry Podcast, and Apple and Spotify are where you can find me. So if you want more like actual episodes where I'm more organized, stuff like that, you can go over there. I'm going to have to hold y'all's hand. Yep. I'm going to have to hold y'all's hands before I start telling these scary stories. If you guys are joining, my name is Yahola Tiger. I'm a member of the Cherokee Nation. Also a little bit, it's crazy. I'm Cherokee by, like I said, I'm Cherokee by enrollment. But like I could have easily been Muskogee Creek. I got more Muskogee Creek in my blood than I got Cherokee, but I was born and raised in Tahlequah, so that's all I knew. And I'd visit my grandpa. He's full blood Creek. He moved to Tahlequah. I don't know when he went to NSU. He met my grandmother, and they had my father, and here I am, 4th generation Tiger over here. But yeah, so that's how I'm born. Like I said, I'm from Tahlequah, born and raised. You can't take the Tahlequality out of me. I'm still a little rough around the edges. I'm a little rugged. You see me talking crazy in the comments, that Tahlequality came out at me. Couldn't help it. I had to hold it. I had been holding it back all week. But I always think about a lot of the, when I go home. Like I said, I haven't been to Tahlequah in probably since last year. I just don't have time to. Got two kids, but every time I'm back, I start driving around. My wife gets annoyed. We start driving. I say, "Oh, this is where so and so, did this, or someone so did this." Or if we go to Muskogee, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, this place at night's kind of rough." Just be pointing out places, be giving the whole tour. Muskogee, Fort Gibson. I say, "Oh yeah, right here is where they'd hear voices of like soldiers screaming at each other on the battlefield." Or like, oh, they'd see somebody walking by the window in that building right there. She gets so annoyed by that. Elvin says, hello from Southwest Oklahoma. Hey, Elvin, has you got any stories out that way? I don't hear nothing from y'all out that way. I hear stories from Northeast. I hear some from the central part, some in the Southeast. But I don't hear nothing from y'all out in Southwest Oklahoma. I don't know if there ain't nobody out there. It's just a few of y'all. I don't hear nothing from y'all. You got any spooky stories? But I go back and it's weird, man. I'll say that it's weird. People you ain't seen in a while. You thinking they're like, oh man, he just like I had somebody when I played in the 3-on-3 last year, Cherokee National Holiday. Someone's like, dang man, I thought you died. I said, man, I did die. I'm resurrected into a new form. Look up Billy Harris. He recently seen Bigfoot outside of Carnegie. Okay. You know what's crazy? I think I've heard that name before. I've had Billy rings a bell in my mind. He went live after he's seen it. Does he have another name on YouTube? I think I might have heard that name before. I know people have been asking me to get a hold of Brenda Harris. She has seen a lot of stuff out in Southwest part of the country. Okay, that might be where I've heard it from him. Then I feel like I've heard that name before. Carnegie, man, I heard that place is pretty spooky too. My aunt, they were coming back from Kiowa powwow. This is probably like 80s. They were on their way back, and I can't remember the highway number that comes back all the way back to Shakota. But they're coming back, and they looked, and they could see something going from tree to tree up on the side of the road. You couldn't see nothing. It was like how they say Predator. Y'all remember Predator, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? That's what it looked like. Somebody was jumping from tree to tree on down this highway. And I was outside, a little bit outside of Carnegie. That's Kiowa country. But yeah, in the chat, where you from? Here in Oklahoma, I might have a story. Some people will give a town location. I'll be all right. I got a story for that. So let me know in the chat where you're from or what area. You don't got to give like, oh, I'm from Muskogee. You just say, hey, Muskogee area or Haskell area, Bixby area, South Tulsa, whatever it is. But let me know where you guys are from. Maybe I got a story for you from your area. Boy, I start talking, my mouth gets dry. But put it in the chat if where you're from, what area, what kind of general area, and maybe I might have a story for you. But I appreciate everyone hopping in here. So let's go ahead and get with I'll go ahead and start. I'll tell y'all one story. Maybe it's get y'all flowing a little bit. Get your mind going. So I just told a story about Apache Y out kind of Anadarko area. I just posted it on the page. So go check it out when you can. And like and do all the good stuff. But there was so they've been seeing these hyena cryptids all over the place, all over all over Oklahoma. Somebody saw one, I believe, out. I'm mixing my mind up here. Okemah. I almost said Okmulgee. Okemah. And when they were driving up on this thing, it had spots like a hyena. But it looked like a hyena, but it was a little bit. It was like a dog hyena mixed with a coyote, but it was bigger. And when they're driving up, they kind of thought it looked mangy too, like it had some mange to it. And immediately they thought it was a chupacabra. This is out kind of, what is it, I-412, not 412, I-40, off one of those side roads of I-40, outside Okemah. But they've seen these hyena cryptids all over the place. My pawpaw saw one a little bit. He lives out kind of Shakota area, around that area, and he has this Ranger Polaris. I almost said Polaris, but I think it is a Polaris, but it's a Ranger. Is what he calls it. And he drives around checking fence posts. They got cattle out there. And so he's just checking fence posts, just doing the rounds as what a farmer does. And all of a sudden he kind of looks up at the pond, because they're kind of like this, where the pond, you're looking up at the pond because they're down a little bit. And he looks up and all of a sudden they see this. Now, the way he described it is something that I don't think I've ever heard. Someone was telling me it was a mountain lion. There could have been an Ozark howler, if you guys have heard that. I've had a few people tell me that it's this and this, and so I asked him, and I said, well, what do you think this is? And I started showing him pictures, and he said, no, it ain't that. And I said, what about this? And I showed him a picture of a dog man. No, what about this? And he just, no, but he said it looked kind of like a hyena. But the thing about it is it had a tail. He said in the ears where he's like, I'm having a hard time describing this. But he said it had ears that were straight up, but it was long like a cat. And so I thought that was weird. But he has this dog, and this dog is mean. Now, I'm telling you, the dog that he has, if he sees any bit of competition with any other dog, he's going for that dog. He's going after that dog. Or whatever animal it is. He has killed so many coyotes, this dog. So they're driving out there, and all of a sudden he looks over and he sees this thing on the pond, and his dog is going, he starts crying. And my pawpaw's like, what? Because that dog don't cry. That dog, he's a medium to large sized dog, kind of a mutt, but he's mean. Like I said, he's mean. But he's crying. He's the whole way. Like he wants to get out of there. He's all crawled up underneath his legs, and he don't want no part of whatever this is on this pond. So he ends up looking, and then he says, literally, it was like within seconds. There's a tree line next to this pond. You kind of go up, and then there's there, and then the tree line is behind it over here, over there. He looks, and he said he blinked, and this thing was gone. It was like it. He said it was like it took 3 or 4 steps, and my pawpaw was like in disbelief when he saw this. And he had seen a few things. I've told his stories, a story of his before, but he said this thing literally turned, and it took like 5 steps, and it's a good distance from the pond to the tree line. But he said it took like 5 steps and like flew over the fence and landed perfectly on the other side and took off into the tree line. So then fast forward, he's telling his buddy about it. And his buddy, who just lives on down the way, says, I saw something underneath a porch light that looked just like what you saw. He said it took off just the same in a tree line. So they had been seeing it. Now, years ago, I always find this fascinating because the Oklahoma Fish and Wildlife, they won't disclose this. They won't talk about this. But they were a part of a release of multiple mountain lions in this area. And I have talked about black panthers on my podcast, and those being seen in the Shakota area. Cast and those being seen in the Shakota area. Let's see here. All right, I'm back. Sorry. But they have been seeing mountain lions all over the place. They've released them and they've been seeing them. And they've been seeing black panthers, popping up all over the place in Oklahoma. Anybody in chat heard or seen a black panther? If you have, shoot me a message on shoot me a message over TikTok DM or in the comments of one of my videos. But like I said, y'all let me know where you're from or what area, what part of Oklahoma. Maybe I got a story for you. But there's all types of stuff going. It's all over the place. There's Oklahoma. When the tribes moved here, there was already stuff here. I think a lot of times, we always say, "Oh, well, they traveled with us." Now, I had heard stories, ancient old stories about, not ancient, but I guess it is ancient. 200 years is ancient, I guess. But dang, 30 years old, I'm ancient. No, but dang, 50 years old is ancient. No, I'm just kidding. But this Seminoles had a story. A guy shared a story at a story. Eufaula Canadian Tribal Town Storytelling was telling a story about a time where you see those mounds popping up throughout the southeast. They say that there's those snakes underground trying to get to Oklahoma to follow the Seminole people. I've heard that story. Now, if there's any Seminoles, you let me know. I'd like to know more about that, or you just never know, because these snakes, I feel like they're everywhere. Because before the quote unquote 5 civilized tribes got here, I always say quote unquote because it just tells it in the name. Like we finally have civilized these people. We're gonna call them that now, instead of just whatever they were. But there were people here. There were different people, and they're escaping me right now of who was there. I wish there was somebody in the chat maybe correct me. But I'm just all about learning, too. I want to learn as much as I possibly can about things, because you always want to be able to tell it right. You always want to be able to get the story straight. But these snakes were always, they followed Muskogee Creek people, Cherokee people. And I always get kind of confused in a way, because I never really understood how people have never heard of this being before. Of the tie snake or the horn snake, or horn serpent, or however you want to say it, because I've always grew up with them. I was talking to my dad the other day. We was having this conversation about, being kind of surprised that people ain't heard about this, and he's like, sometimes some people are taught Bigfoot, or they know more Bigfoot, or they know more LP. You just got to take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But if you guys could, hit the like button. Help a brother out. Hit it till you go arthritis. Might have to have y'all set up a HSA after this. Help y'all set that up. Make sure y'all's fingers are right. I want y'all catching arthritis on this stream. But I appreciate it if you do like it. But let me know, guys, in the chat. And we're kind of being dry today. We got some people in here, but we're being dry about it. Let's not be so dry, y'all. I'm calling you out. But let me know where you're from. Oh, I got a few comments here. I am missing the boat. I apologize. I've never been to OK, but I think my mom said she went to a school in Anadarko. Yeah, I believe there was a school down that way. Like I said, I'm not the most familiar with Anadarko. I got a few people who I know from down that way. Dodgecast, that's a podcast out of Anadarko. Dang, them guys be crazy on that podcast too. They be going crazy talking about everything. Let's see here. Go check out my repost. I'll check them out. What you got on there? Give me a little bit of sauce. Give me a little bit of a hint. What is in your repost? Because if I go over there and check it, it's like some wild stuff. I think I freed America. All right, that's crazy. What did you do? Don't tell me that you found out you found out about time travel. Because if you found out about time travel, let me go with you. Let me go with you. I'm still dying on this hill. I don't know if space is real. I might be dying on this hill. I'm not sure if space is real. I don't know if aliens are real. But time travel? Well, you have a good one, brother. I'll go check out your repost and see if you saved America. Or freed America. I don't know if we'll ever be free. Trent Davis says space is fake. Even saying the word space just makes me like not want to say it. Space is fake, yes. It just doesn't make no sense to me. As someone who has read a few books, it doesn't make sense. Riddle me dumb. I don't know. It doesn't make sense how we haven't been back to the moon. Really, really hardcore conspiracy people. I'm very hardcore. But there's another level after me that you have to ascend to. Almost like the final boss of conspiracies. And that is that aliens are on the dark side of the moon. I'm not there. Nor I don't think I ever will be. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess. But, let's see. I always get these pop-ups on here. You know what's crazy, Trent? Someone asked me that same question, and I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I have no earthly idea. I don't believe. Because if we're in a dome, are we in a dome if the world is round? You know? Or is it like a flat and it's in a dome? I don't know. Those are one thing. Yeah, like a Project Fishbowl. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. That we're just basically a terrarium. They're just someone's looking at us from the outside, poking at us, prodding us, moving us in a certain direction. Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing that I'm comfortable with. I know a lot of people are annoyed by someone who says I don't know, but to me it's very intelligent to be able to admit when you don't know something. Like I equate when someone, like if I'm in a debate with somebody and they just say, yeah, I don't know, man. I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, let's move on. I don't care. Like, I don't think you're stupid. Hey, you just don't know. What you don't know, you don't know. But let me know. Got people popping in and out. Dang, we're down to 3 people. You guys are holding on strong. We almost had 10 earlier. I think my record from the most amount of people in my stream is like 15. But also, I don't know what times to go live. That's a lot of it for me. Like, I just go live when I have a chance. That's really kind of how I do it. It's Thursday, everybody's getting off work, so you just never know. I may go live later tonight. It's later when it's dark out, get y'all all scared. But let me know what part of Oklahoma you're from, and maybe I got a story for you. One story that I was thinking about before this live was a story about a lady who saw, and this is out of Enid, Oklahoma. Enid is north, I believe. I'm not. Go ahead, hit me with the geography, please. But when she was a little girl, she would have these weird nightmares of these gray beings taking her up and like trying to abduct her as a child. And like I said, this is this is like mid Oklahoma, west of the city. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Because Enid just sounds like it's out there somewhere, out west. But so she was having these dreams about these gray aliens or gray beings messing with her. And when she was asleep. Well, one day, her and her mom and her brother are looking out, at the sunrise or sunset, or it's sunset. And they're just kind of hanging out, playing, just doing little kid things. And her mom goes, hey, let's go inside real quick. Well, she doesn't really listen. And so the brother goes inside and the mom goes inside. Well, she's out there. She said she didn't know how long she was out there. But she looks over the strip mall that's just right over there by their house. In the middle of the city of Enid, there is a silver disc-like shape. And it's hovering over, literally right over a street light. So the street light's here, and she's like literally, as it was getting dark outside, she could see the street lights come on and like the light hitting off of this silver disc. And so she sat there and watched it until it finally eventually went away, and her mom told her to come inside. Well, that night, she's laying in bed and she's falling asleep. And now I want to clarify this too. She saw these gray beings before she even saw this silver disc. She had already had dreams and nightmares about these gray beings messing with her in her sleep before she saw this craft floating basically over Enid, Oklahoma. And so she's sitting there in her dream, and she can hear somebody, and she looks over, and there's a gray being sitting there in her room. She had these recurring nightmares for literally all the way up, and I believe until she had kids. And so when she started having kids, she started seeing them less. And then as the kids got older, on very few occasions she will have that dream again. It's the same one of these gray beings messing with her. One of the final times she was telling me, she was basically awake in her dream, and she looked over in this. The door was open to her room, and she could see that this gray being was walking its way into the room. She is like, I'm over it. I'm sick of this. This has been bothering me my entire life. In her dream, and she goes and basically runs this thing off out the house in her dream. She wakes up and she's in bed, and she said, she doesn't know if if it was passed on to her kids or if it was passed on to her, whoever, her grandkid, whoever it is. But she was seeing those things her entire life, and then they've kind of slowed down. But that was out of Enid, Oklahoma. Let me know what y'all think about that story. And like I said, I get stories similar to this quite frequently. I get people telling me stories, and I don't know if it's like they think I'm an authentic person. I'm not going to misconstrue their story or make it seem something they're not. But I always appreciate people who do share their stories. I'm just a regular, average guy. I'm just a dude telling stories. I have the gift of telling stories and remembering stories. That's a lot of it too. With when you get a lot of stories from people, is you have to remember them, and that's a lot of the process. Is there's times where I got to write it down and read it multiple times, and then I'll remember it probably forever. But yeah, if you guys could get arthritis for me. Hey, if you want to get arthritis in your toes, hit the screen, y'all. I appreciate it. It helps me out, moves me up in the daily rankings. I'm like top 10 right now, I think is what they're telling me for my level. Because I don't really go live very much. I try to do as much as I possibly can to get the entertainment out for people, because I know a lot of times, a lot of these stories, I don't mean to scare people. That's not really what I tell them for. But I've had people in my comments be like, oh, now I can't go there. It's like, or I have people on the opposite way, like, oh, now I want to go there. Like, I want to investigate it. So I'm learning to be more careful with the locations that I give. Especially, people will give me like the address of homes. Oh, yeah, my house was haunted. It was at 751 North Aspen Road. It's like, okay, you don't got to tell me that, but appreciate it. Salute to whoever lives there now. Brooke says I live about 2 hours from Enid. Okay, so you're where? You're 2 hours east or 2 hours west? I'm kind of curious. And Brooke, have you heard anything? Is there anything creepy out west? Like I said, I don't hear a lot. Now I have heard that they do see Dogman out there. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I can't clarify that, but I've heard that they do see a werewolf-like creatures out there. But yeah, let me know in the comments, guys. Or in the chat where you are, what area. Maybe I might have a story for you. Oh, Northeast. Okay. So you're like Pahuska, or I'm just naming Hominy. You're out Osage country. I'm assuming if you're northeast of Enid. Enid's here. You're northeast. Yeah, I'm right. No, I don't know. I'm over here. Oh yeah, crown me champion. It's like celebrating before you even know. Like there's still 5 minutes left in the game, dude. You don't know why you're celebrating. Like you won. But yeah, like I said, I'm originally from Northeast Oklahoma. I'll tell you one of the wackiest things I've heard, and I don't really know if I believe it. Now this is an urban legend, but it is out there, and I'm not going to give the location. I'm going to say in the Tahlequah area. In the Tahlequah area. I had an English professor. I had him twice for 2 years, basically. And he was the coolest guy. Vietnam veteran, barely able to move. Like, dude was in rough shape, but he was still a professor. And one day I asked him, I said, what's the creepiest thing you've heard? Or what's the creepiest thing that you know about? And he looked at me because, I could tell he's seen some things. So, what he's like, and he's also like a English literature teacher. So, you have to talk to him in a way where he's it interests him. And so I said something like, oh yeah, I bet you've seen Bigfoot out there. And I said something crazy. And crazy in terms of academics. Not just crazy in terms of me and you. Because we can talk about anything and we can go left. But he goes, okay, so he lives out by the river, deep river too. I'm not talking just right outside of town river, deep river. And his house is on the edge of the river. Back in the 90s, he used to have students who would come to him and say, have you heard of these people? And he's like, what people? Because he lives out on the river. They're called the Peacock people. If you're from Tahlequah, you may have heard of these people before. But they worship the god of Peacock. There's a peacock god, I guess. But they have a little compound outside of town. And now, I don't know if this is true. I've heard this since I was, a freshman in college. So it could be urban legend. Could be anything. But he told me that he had heard from people that live along the river that some kids went missing. The side of town, I'm trying to think. So if Tahlequah is, I would say east of town. So you're headed out to Briggs. No, that's not right. I'm getting big step here. So you see the big water slide, if you can visualize, if you've been out to the river, that is east of town, I believe. So it's out that way. Kind of, yeah, it's around, if you kept going straight up into the kind of more hilly mountains, you're headed out to Stillwell. You're headed the other way, not through Keys to Stillwell, but the other way through Stillwell. You're going through that way. I'm trying to be as vague but also telling you where to go, or not where to go, but okay, anyways. But back in the day, they had a group of guys, I think it was in a fraternity, went out there and was messing with these people. And one of the guys, they never found him. He just disappeared. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. He told me that, and I think he's since passed. But he heard that rumor and thought it was interesting, and so he looked into them. And yes, they do worship that. And he started looking into it, and so he started finding out that people were literally going in there and messing with him. And I believe that the city had to say something to him. I think it was in the newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, I think. Someone said something about it. But I don't know. These people could be everyday people. They could be seeing me right now on TikTok and be like, "Dang, they're the secret is out." But that's one of the weirdest things I've heard about Tahlequah. Like, and it just was a group of people living in a commune who worship a peacock. Now, some people say, "Oh, it's a cult." I've heard that. I've heard different things about them, but they do worship. That's what I was told. So I don't know. You're talking to the wrong guy if you want to. I don't know. Let's see here. Let me look through these comments. I got a few people here. Me B, what's going on with you? Hope you're doing all right. You know what's crazy? Is Elise. I've always never said your name out loud. But what's going on, friend? Hope you're doing all right. Hey, by the way, she has a crazy story. Miss Elise right here has a crazy story about, I think it's her ex from like years ago. Craziest story. I wanted to get her on the podcast, and I could never work it out. I got busy. I think it was around Halloween time. But she does a lot of content. We've been following each other for a long time. And she's got good stories too. She tells surviving Christian type stories. Cool person. Repo lady. Hey, you know what? Our repost lady. I called you. I was thinking in my head you're a repo lady. I'm like, dang, what is you repoing? You're just repoing people's lives. Brooke says, I'm back. Sorry. No, it's all good. Be still to know. How's it going? Hope you're doing all right. Hope everyone's doing all right today. We are moving. We are moving right along. But if you name a portion of the state of Oklahoma, I will find you I may find you a story. I may just do this. See, I'm good like that. I've just never said your name out loud. So, like, I've always just read it, and I'm like, I've never said it out loud. Yes, I'd love to get you on the podcast because it's we may just do a TikTok live one day, maybe get some time or something, and I can always download it and edit it and do all the beautiful things that technology allows us to do. But it's crazy, y'all. I cannot just, like, tell you guys how crazy it is. Like, I'm into the demon stuff when it comes to these stories. I don't want to experience it, like I don't, but she's got a crazy one. It's pretty good. It's one of the best ones I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot of stories about demons. Speaking of that, we'll talk about one right now. You got Miss Elise got me on the topic, so let's talk about it. Repost Lay said anything about Tulsa. I'll get to some Tulsa stuff. I may even have to divulge one. Lily Mimi, appreciate the heart me. I officially have 10 people in there now. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Nice. I'm happy about that. That's awesome. Thank you. So I had a boss who was working, I believe, it was either I think it was California or Colorado, one of the two. I think it was California. And he was working at this swim facility. So, like, it was like an indoor pool, and it had, like, competitive stuff, Olympic-sized pools, all that beautiful stuff. And so he was promoted. The guy under him was promoted too. So one day he was like, the guy just seemed off. He was like, man, this guy's not right. Something's weird about him. And one day he called him into the office, and he just felt like a heaviness. Like the room almost got really, like the energy was sucking out of the room. Repost lady, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Respect. Thank you so much. I got you for the Tulsa story next. And so he's talking to his his staff member. How's life, man? You doing all right? He's just negative. Just, oh my God, I hate this. I hate this. He was just like mean. And then he started being mean to people. So then all of a sudden he started praying, like under his breath. And this guy, he said literally the craziest thing happened. So the guy that walked in had a different face than the guy that was talking to him, which is crazy. So when the guy walked in, he had a different face. They start talking. He kind of mumbles something prayer-wise, about God, and all of a sudden he, like almost like he woke up, like his face went back to normal, and he was like he kind of like shook himself, and he said, "Where am I?" He said, "What am I doing? Like, what's going on?" He was like, "What do you mean?" This is my boss I'm telling the story about if you're just joining. My boss had a guy come in, they talked, his face was different than when he started praying and his face turned. The guy had no memory of walking into the office, sitting down and talking crazy about all his coworkers. Just absolutely insane, going off, didn't care who heard, straight demon time. He says the prayer, the guy's face, it's like he kind of came back into his body and his face went back to how it was normal. He said that guy was possessed, no doubt. And I believe that guy ended up getting, so he ended up leaving after that. Not because of the guy, but just leaving to move to Oklahoma. But then the guy ended up taking the position. He said he hadn't heard. But yeah, the guy literally was demon, had a weird, it was his face. It was this guy's face, but it had a different tone to it. And then when he prayed, the guy's normal face was appeared, and he had woken up from a dream. Crazy. I was like, and I heard that, I said, "No, man, that's crazy." Because I was, you guys have seen The Exorcism, and you see the way that those people look. You're just like, God, this person is demon possessed, and they look like that. He said, no, it was just it was just his face was a little off. But yeah, I had a boss who told that story. He had a few weird run-ins with some possible demon stuff that he would tell me about. And I'm like, because he knew I was into that stuff. I like hearing it. I don't want to experience it. I want to hear about it. All right, let's see here. Repost lady, Tulsa story here. Before I do, Louis, the Silent Watchers, go check him out. He just joined. Thank you for the heart me, and thank you for the gifts. It is appreciated. I appreciate it. The best around. Go check his podcast out. He just released his first episode over the Alamos Alien Wars, about an underground base in Los Alamos. It's pretty good stuff. Trent Davis, yikes, I know. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I'd be like, what the hell? And dude is just, he's different. All right. Moving on. We're going to go to Tulsa. We're going to make our way back to Tulsa. Now, I have a few of them from here. I'll give you a shadow person one. So I was living in East Tulsa. I had a lot of weird stuff happen in that apartment that I was staying in. And one of the weirdest things, too, about where I was staying, this is before I met my wife. My neighbors behind me, so I lived on the inside of the apartment complex. I'm not going to give the apartment complex because I hate that place. And if she ever sees this, choice words. Beep, 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 beep. So out in East Tulsa. So I lived in the apartment on the inside of the courtyard. But I always had issues with people smoking weed on the people that were on the outside. My apartment, when I'd walk in from work, would always just reek of weed. And so I'm like, man, there'd be times where I feel like I'm getting secondary high, for real. They were smoking that much. But that's not the weird part. So the property manager came up to me one day. I was walking in. I lived upstairs. So she was like, hey, have you seen the people that live downstairs? And I'm like, no. She's like, oh, well, okay. Well, will you do me a favor and, if you see them, let me know? And I was like, okay. So one night I was coming in from the bar, and I'm thinking something spooky's happened. So I walk in there, and I walk around like my stairs is here, their patio is here, and I walked around and could see directly. They had their windows up, and they could see directly in there. There was one couch, one light, and the kitchen light was on. Weird as hell. I could see someone in there. There was no TV. There was nothing. But I could see weird. Like, it was just weird to me. How are you in there with nothing on, one light on, and in the room that you're in, you're not even... You're like there, but you're not. So I'm thinking these people are probably high, drug addicts, whatever. Weirdest thing. So a couple days later, I'm walking up, I'm coming in from work, and I see a family. So it's like two people, a girl and a guy, and a little kid. And they walk in there. And like me being nosy, I'm acting like I'm just walking around. So like I grab my dogs, I come down the thing, and I'm walking around the courtyard because their window blinds are on. And they walk in, and I can see them because their window blind is up, and they're like just acting like it's normal. So I'm like, there's something off about them. So I go and like I'm talking to the property manager. I had to pay rent or something, or I had to get something. I was in the office for something. I can't remember what. This is, like I said, this is like 4 years ago, maybe 4.5, 5 years ago, 5 years ago actually, yeah. And so I'm like, hey man, there's something weird about the downstairs people. I said, who's supposed to be there? Like I was just being curious. I was being nosy, guys. All right, just you hit me, you got me. I was being nosy. She goes, oh, it's just a guy, and I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like I was like, just a guy. Like I said, well, there's a family in there. So she goes, oh no, not at all, because she's thinking it might be like somebody paying for someone else, but like they're not on the lease, so they can't, it could have been they're undocumented for whatever reason. Tulsa has those situations. She goes, if there's nobody in that house. So I don't know if it was my eyes, I don't know if, and I can't explain this, but I walk there and there's nobody. I just saw them walk in the house. I don't know. Yeah, I was being nosy, y'all. So, fast forward. I'm in my bed. I had to be up at the ass crack of dawn because I worked for Blue. I almost said the name of it. Insurance place. And I had to be up at the ass crack of dawn, and I'm like tired, and all of a sudden I hear a faint knocking on my door, like a slight one, just like a very small one. And so I get up, and my dogs didn't hear it, so I'm like, what the hell? So where my bedroom sat, there's a window where you can see directly out to where the stairs are. So I could see if someone came in and out, and I have a light on, so I could see the shadows of somebody coming down. And my windows was like cracked, like my blinds, so I can see feet if I really wanted to. So I hear this knock on the door, woke me up. I look, there's no shadow, there's nothing, so I'm thinking nothing of it. I hear it again, the same knock. So I'm like, oh hell, all right, whatever. I'm thinking, it could be anybody. Maybe my buddy got in a bad, whatever. I'm just thinking whatever, worst case scenario. And I get up, look out the people. There's no one there. So I'm like, this is weird as hell. I didn't see anyone come like running down the stairs, because if you went up the stairs, you would be able to hear someone coming up and down the stairs because they were really loud. This happened multiple times after this weird thing with the family. So I don't know what it was, but then like when I met my wife and we had our first kid and all this good stuff, she moved in, we started seeing like shadow creatures. So like there would be times where like we had a cat in the house, and he would do this thing where he would like lap, like he would just do crazy laps, like just run, just go crazy. Well, we would see that even when he was like sitting over here. So it's just weird stuff. Like one night we were sitting there, I was sitting in my recliner, and then she was sitting on this very uncomfortable ottoman or whatever the hell, not ottoman, kind of reclining chair. She looked like we both kind of caught it out of the corner of our eyes. And that's usually where you see those shadow things, is out of the corner of your eyes. There's something small. We thought it was a rat. I thought it was a rat at first. I'm like, God damn, we got rats now? Like, we got everything. We didn't have roaches, though. I'm not nasty like that, y'all. But out of the corner of our eye, we saw a little shadow zoom up the stairs. And I was like, oh, what was that? And we looked at each other and we're like, and Oscar, and our cat Oscar, I'm surprised he's not up here right now. He's usually sitting right here next to me. Was sitting right there. He hadn't moved. So there's weird stuff in that apartment. Like, there'd be times I was upstairs playing Xbox or, doing something upstairs, up in our loft. And I'd look behind me, and, like, I feel like somebody was behind me standing there. And I'd look, and there'd be nobody there. I'd look down, and my wife is either, like, in the bedroom or, yeah. So weird stuff, y'all. Weird stuff. Let's see here. Repost lady, was that a good little story, right? It's a little story. It was a long story short, but it was a long story. But yeah, that apartment was weird, man. I don't know what was going on. I had always weird stuff happening in that time. Like, the knocking didn't stop until, like, I purposely I purposely did not, like I made sure, like, I had my dogs. My dogs never heard it. I had another. I have lived in some weird. I don't know if it's following me or what. I haven't really seen much here in this house, but I guess I could tell more Tulsa stories, but we'll get to it here in a minute. I guess if anybody else has any locations anywhere in Oklahoma, I'll tell a story from that area. We're going until my phone battery dies, y'all. Hey, that's how this is playing out today. We're going until the phone battery dies. If y'all can hit the like buttons for me. Hit the likes, get your boy in rotation. But I appreciate those coming in and out and joining and whatnot. Let me know, like I said, an area that you want to hear a story. I'll pull it out my brain and see if I can find it. Now, I feel like I'm a little bit kind of red a little bit. I was out in the sun today. I helped my mom mow. Like I mentioned this earlier. I hate you, TikTok, for this. I hate when TikTok does this. Or it makes me have to line this up. Oh, you're not a bot. You're still active. But I was out mowing my mom's pasture and part of the pasture and then the backyard and front yard. And like I start remembering like different kind of weird things that have happened over my course of my life there. Growing up, like I said, born and raised Tallock, Oklahoma. We moved to the Fort Gibson area when I was in middle school, and we lived out kind of in the middle of BFE, right off the river. But we always had weird stuff, possible Bigfoot. My mom was seeing like gigantic wolves on the property at some point. Our neighbor, we find out, was cracked out of his mind, was seeing these dogs or whatever these animals were. He was shooting at them in the middle of the night. He was screaming at them. Like I was like, damn, this is like dog soldiers all over again. This dude is just out here just firing away. And then like my mom went over to him one time. He was all cracked out of his mind. He thought one of my dogs had killed his chickens. And my mom was like, no, they're in a pen. We don't let them roam free. And he's like, no, it's one of them dogs. So my mom's like, well, you need to be careful out here. My son thinks there's Bigfoot out here. And the guy kind of laughed, was like, huh, yeah. But I know he saw something out there. He was out there shooting crazy out there. But we lived right off the river, too. So it's like, you just never know what's traveling. I've told so many stories on my podcast about my younger years at that house. If you want to hear one, if we can get to 15K, I'll tell some of my childhood. Fort Gibson, Muskogee area. If you guys know, we're in between Wagner. So in that little kind of area, I'll tell a couple stories if we can get to 15K. But until then, y'all got any topics you want me to talk about? It could be anything. Repost lady says, I'm glad I don't live on that side of town. East Tulsa is a weird part of town. I don't understand it. I did my running around out that way for a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely different out that way. And great food. Great food out in East Tulsa. I used to hit. Dang, they took down What is that? What was that place? Taco Pedro. It's the San Pedro Taco Pedro. They took that place down. That whole that place was so good. Man, the best Mexican, authentic Mexican. We went to. They used to have a little nasty bar in that next to that Aldi's, and we'd go to that taco stand out there. That was our spot. Fat like that is what we are. We go out there and get like 40 tacos and finish them. I'm telling my wife right now. She ate 25 of them. Couldn't even believe it. I said, "Dang, girl, that's crazy out here eating that much tacos." I know she just hopped in here too. Anytime she hears her name, she's like, "What is that? Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary." That's how my wife is. You mention her name, or you start talking about her, she just shows up. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. She shows up. Oh man, I'm ornery. Yeah, that's why I married her. Yep. Anytime I need her, I call her. She's there. So that's the best. She's the best around. Nothing's ever gonna bring her down. Anyways, y'all. My bad. I didn't mean to hit y'all with that. I didn't mean to hit y'all with that. But if y'all want to, like I said, we get to 15K. I'll tell you some of my childhood stories outside of Muskogee, outside of Fort Gibson, kind of in this no man's land zone where they call OK, Oklahoma. That's funny. Back in the 80s, lived in West Tulsa. All right, Repost Lady, appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, I appreciate the gifts, and I appreciate the conversation. Hopefully I'll see you again soon. Darren said lived back in West Tulsa. I hadn't heard much about West Tulsa. I'm trying to think if I have. I don't think I have. Have a good one. But yeah, we get to 15K. I'll tell you some childhood stories. Kind of creepy. I don't know. Maybe it might stir something in you. You might be like, I got something. But if you want to share a story and you hear me tell a story and you say, man, I really don't want to tell this publicly, shoot me a message on here, and I can share it. I can keep it, man. I got so many stories I've kept in the tuck because people say, man, I really don't want you to tell a story right now. I say, all right, that's fine. You know, I've done that too. I mean, I tell people around me, but they don't tell nobody because if they do, I got to kill them. No, I'm just kidding. TikTok, don't take me down. It's all jokes. Hashtag jokes. I see people always complaining about the new guidelines. TikTok ain't changed for me. It's the same. I don't know, man. I'm not seeing what these other people seeing, I guess. But yeah, we're almost close to 15K. We get to 15K likes, and I will tell. Now here, I guess if y'all let me know in the chat, I can tell a Bigfoot story that might be a Bigfoot story. I can tell, well, a Bigfoot story. I got a few of them. Weird stuff. I can tell maybe a medicine story, I guess as you can call it that. Bigfoot medicine or owl story. I'm trying to think of what else. Missing time story. Out that way, out at my parents' house. Let me know in the chat below. Bigfoot, LP, medicine, or missing time. Oh no. Just kidding. She's right here. My wife is just right here. I said I called her name. She showed up. Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. But yeah, let me know in the chat below. Let me know what y'all want to hear when we get to 15K. And I appreciate everyone that has given gifts. I'm not a beggar, but I'll take it. But dang, my little crusty laugh. All right, 15K, y'all. Are y'all ready for this? Y'all didn't tell me. I need to put in the chat what y'all want to hear. A Bigfoot story, an LP missing time story, owl story, or a medicine story. What y'all want to hear? Y'all let me know in the chat. All right, we got a Bigfoot. We got one Bigfoot. A few of y'all in here. Oh, okay. Okay. So we 1-1. Anybody else? Bigfoot or medicine? I ain't gonna say that name. Dang, me be trying to get them to come to her tonight. Be messing with her in her sleep. All right. One more person. I need someone else to break the tie here. I ain't gonna put that bad medicine on you now. I might though. Nah, I'm just kidding. What bad medicine? What murder? It's like, well, he was a murderer. What matter? That was a nice guy. Oh, my wife says Bigfoot. All right. She's in here right now, so she's out here off the side. She's got to do some running around. But all right, y'all. I'm going to tell a Bigfoot story. Yeah, have you not heard that meme or that video of the guy where the reporter sees the guy on the street and says, "So, sir, but he was a murderer." And the guy's like, "What murder?" Y'all never seen that video? Go look it up. Anyways. All right, Bigfoot story. Bigfoot story. I got a few of them. So I'll tell you my first ever kind of weird thing that happened to me when I was walking home from the bus. So my parents always had a battle with the school to take us down to our house. Like, it was a beef. My mom had for real beef with the school because they would make us walk down, because there's like a little Y at the end of our drive that basically takes you to OK or takes you to Fort Gibson. Like, it's kind of a weird little turn. And so the bus lady would always drop us down at the Y, so I mean we had to walk like a mile, like a little over a mile. Maybe. I don't know how long it was. But it took us a while to get home, like 20 minutes to get home. Because we're walking. We got all these heavy book bags. And in middle school, they'd be like, "Hey, carry every bag with you. You know, make sure that you have every bag." And you had this big old backpack, like camper size. So my brother was still in elementary school at the time, so I'm 2 years older than him. So we're walking. So I get off the bus, and I had a weird feeling when I got off the bus. But I'm walking, and as I hit this stretch where there's a house on the right, and then there's the wood line. It's straight woods. There's nothing out there. There's no houses, nothing. It's straight woods all the way down. On the left-hand side, that's what it is. All the way down, and then you get to a house, and then it starts back up all the way down to our house. So I'm walking, and I'm kind of just bebopping along. There's nobody coming, going. And all of a sudden, I start smelling something. And here's one thing that I've never smelled this smell before, even to this day. Like, I've smelled poop, I've smelled manure, I've smelled everything, but I still to this day cannot describe this smell. And it smelled like it smelled like a mixture of poop, like wet dog, bad, like really, really bad BO, just disgusting. The worst smell. And I remember as a little kid, a middle school kid, I stopped and I looked around. Because I was like, oh, God, that's bad. That's really bad. So I'm looking, and, like, I'm, nosy. So I kind of step off the road off to the wooded side, and I'm looking through there. I'm looking. I don't see nothing. But I can smell it. And at this time, I already know what Bigfoot is. I never seen him. But, like, I knew people have talked about this smell. And so, like, I remember the day before walking home, I was walking, and when I would stop, because you as a kid, you just do. You're not rushing to get home. This is like your free time. Like, I'm gonna take every ounce of freedom I can get. So I'm bebopping along. I'm by myself, and I stop, and I thought I could hear something in the woods walking next to me. So I was like, whatever, and I kept walking. Well, then I got scared because this thing, whatever this was, it was like something was walking deeper in the woods where I couldn't see, but they could see me, and they were walking with me on my way home from school. Like a couple days before. It might have been the day before, I can't remember. But it's so long ago. It's like 20 years ago. And so, like, I remember that, but I remember the next day smelling that smell and walking, and I could hear it was almost like small footprints. like not an animal, but like it was coordinated, like it was walking with me the same way it did days before. And I kept smelling that smell, and I'm like, God, what is that smell? So I get scared again, and as I start running this time, this thing ran with me in the woods. Whatever this was. I was thinking it might have been a dog. I, to this day, don't know what it was. It could have been a little Bigfoot messing with me. So that's the first ever time I had something weird happen. So as we get older, we had this, I might have been 7th grade. My parents got this dog. We basically rescued this dog on the side of the road who was in like malnutrition at my pawpaw's house out kind of Shakota area. And my allergies messing up from mowing earlier. Trying not to like sneeze. But we rescued this black dog. We named him Luke. And he was like bones. But they left him out on a back road in Shakota area. And so we take him home. We like beg my parents, okay, fine. But he was our guard dog. He slept in front of our window. And at the time, me and my brother shared a room. And so I remember waking. I'm a light sleeper in the sense where like if there's a noise, I'll wake up. So I'm 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, and he would always sit on my brother's side. Like, so the room is like this. The two beds sat like this. So one next to the wall, one in the kind of the middle of the room. That was mine. I was in the middle of the room. So the air conditioning unit is right over my head, so it kind of blocks off some noises for me. Well, at the time we had this light that shined down against our blackout curtains that you could kind of see if a shadow walked by at night. So I'm like, I wake up and I'm just kind of like, oh, what's going on? But then I hear Luke, our dog, doing this crazy cry. To this day, I still don't know if that was even him, to be honest. As I find out as I'm older, we had a lot of medicine floating around us as a family. And to this day, I still cannot make the sound that he made. I never knew a dog could make this sound. But he was so scared of whatever was that was out there in front of him. So when I wake up, I notice that the light, he's making this noise. I'm noticing that the light is blocked. So like the window has a blackout curtain. The light shines in, and you can see if someone walks. So if my dad was coming in from work or whatever, you could see a shadow. Well, something was blocking that light from from the light outside into our bedroom through the blackout curtains. Because the blackout curtains are like baby bluish, like a kind of a light blue, or it might have been darker than that, but you could see anyways. Besides the point. And he's crying like I've never heard any dog cry before. And there's something standing out there in front of him, in front of that light. And like I was too scared. I remember being a little kid and I was like so freaking scared of what that could be. And he's screaming and crying. And like I'm like trying to wake up my brother and he's like dead to the world. My brother was like he's dead to the world when he sleeps. So I tell my parents and, my dad, not like I said, this is all hindsight. I know now that there was a lot of weird stuff going on, that would come and visit us in the night. Like there would be times when my dad would go outside and, he'd be, in and out, whatever. And he'd hear somebody out there laughing, like an owl laughter type thing that I've mentioned before. We'd hear that all the time. My dad would hear it. Or like one time we had sound like somebody was walking on our roof. It's just weird stuff growing up. But there's another crazy story about my childhood, too, that I've told quite a bit, and I love it. But it's one of it scares me the most. It scares me a lot, actually. But yeah, but I never knew what it was. I remember ended up just kind of like waiting, and eventually I closed my eyes, and I eventually opened them, and the light was back, and he stopped crying. So he was back, he was right there under the window. Whatever was standing there in front of him had walked away, and the light was now back hitting the blackout curtain. Weird, man. Super weird. I remember being so scared too. I remember being so scared, like not even moving, like frozen. Louis, thank you for the goat, man. I appreciate it. Dang, are you saying I'm the goat? No. Well, I appreciate it. It means a lot when people send me gifts. I do appreciate it. Makes me feel good. Movie Goon, what's going on with you, man? Hope you're doing all right. Dang, did you see my Darko story? I was looking through my notes. The greatest of all time in storytelling. Hey, I appreciate it. I try to do my best. Sometimes I'm a little long-winded, but that's the Indian way, though. I think that's that. My papa on my mom's side is like that. He's always been a storyteller. My dad has told some stories, but my grandpa was excellent. One of the best storytellers I ever heard, and I've learned from both sides of my family. I'm blessed to have that. They gave me the ability to be entertaining and, tell stories. But Movie Goon, did you see that Darko story I just posted about somebody seeing a hyena type thing out there? I know I heard that I had to tag. I wanted to make sure I checked in with Thang Long. I wanted to make sure I was all right with him. He's the king of Anadarko. I just wanted to make sure that I was all right posting that. That's crazy, that name, Thang Long. But yeah, if you guys any other stories, like I said, we don't have to be from Oklahoma. If you give me a state, I may have a story. I may not. I'm okay with not saying no. Oh, we're at 20K. Dang, Louis out here. Arizona. I'll tell you. Okay, I got one from Arizona. I got one from my dad. My grandpa. The house that they were staying in. Now he's gonna tell it better. My dad would tell it way better than me. I've got it kind of third hand. But my grandpa I think he took a teaching job or something out in Arizona. We have some family out there, and I believe it was on I think it was on my grandpa's side. But so they were staying in a house that was a former funeral home. Like an old school funeral home, and they had all types of crazy stuff happen to them. This is out, not Mesa, Arizona. Flat Rock. That might be a town name. I can't remember exactly what town. It was on the res out there. My dad was a little guy. My dad might have been elementary school. He says, yeah, he's like, Oklahoma Indians are different than res Western natives. Y'all are different out there. That's why I got a lot of respect for y'all. Y'all just different. But yeah, they would basically in the night sometimes. I think one of our cousins was sleeping and he kind of was awoken by something. And he noticed that something had ripped his blanket off of him while he was sleeping. I was like, nah. But yeah, I remember he was telling me it was like a funeral home, but they turned it into a house for the natives. So I was like, or my family. I'll have to ask my dad. My dad eventually is going to come on the podcast. It'll be an extra special. Me and him we'll be laughing. Me and my dad are buddies that way. We can just get to rolling on stuff, talking all types of stuff. Me says Texas. Ooh, I got a good Texas one. I just was going through my notes about Texas. Dang. I'll make sure that's why I had to check in with the king, Movie Goon. I had to make sure that we was all right before I posted that. I know that he's king out there. I don't need memes of me going around. No, that account is hilarious, man. That account makes me laugh every time I see it. Let's see here. Thang Long. It's crazy. So Texas, I do have a Texas one. I literally was looking through my notes before I went on live. I do have a Texas one. This was out. I think it's Maryville. In between Maryville, it's right on the border of Louisiana and Texas. Maryville and Stinger. I can't remember the Louisiana name or the Louisiana town. I have to look back at my notes. I apologize. But so this person sent me this story. They are one of the tribes down there in Louisiana. And they had some family stuff going on, and the family ended up breaking apart. And he was, sent me this very long story, but I'm gonna just kind of cut it down. It's on a This Is Creepy. But they had some family stuff going on, and the family ended up separating, and the kids went to Texas, and he was, no, I'm sorry, the kids went to Louisiana. He still lived in Texas. So every so often he would make the drive over to Louisiana and come back to Texas and go through this. I think it's Maryville, Texas. Well, the kid, when his dad, this is his dad that he's talking about. Every time his dad would come back through to get home with him and his brother, I think his sibling, he would always stop at the store before he got to this bridge. He would buy food, blanket or a towel, and some food. And he would basically put it in the passenger seat. They would drive down. They would stop at this bridge. He would take the drink, food, and blanket or towel and lay it on the side of the road. So him as a kid, he's like, what is going on? Like, why is he doing that? He does this every time. He did this for years. I mean, years. So one day he kind of, got the courage and asked his dad, said, well, why do you do that, Dad? And he said, well, I'll tell you when we stop. He said, okay. Well, they end up going. And he forgot about it after they got home, back to his house. So basically the entire time, they make the trip back, the same thing happens again. He forgets about it again. And then by the time that he gets home, back to his mom's house, his dad's dropping him off. He goes, hey, wait, before you go, why do you do that? And his dad goes, okay, I'll tell you. So one time when I was coming to get you boys, I saw a man on the side of the road, and he was looking bad. He said something in me should have stopped and helped him. Maybe offered him this coat that I had, or just helped him out. He said, but I didn't. I kept going. He said, I came and got y'all, brought y'all back, and then when I went to bring y'all back, and I was coming back home on the trip back from after dropping y'all back off, I had food and drink sitting in the console and kind of up on the dash. It was like leftovers. He said, when I drove past, I looked over to the side where that man was sitting there, and there was a cross there now. And there was some kind words on the cross. He said, but right as I crossed it, he said it was like someone grabbed the drink and threw it as hard as they could against the passenger side window. And the food right after it, boom. And he was like shook. So he pulled over and he, didn't know what was going on. He was spooked. So he's like trying to clean up the mess, and he takes off again, going back home. And the whole way home, he's like, what happened? He was really trying to think about it. And he realized, it dawned on him, he said, that man was sitting right there, and he's like, I could have helped him, and I didn't. He said, that's the spirit of this man, or a spirit letting me know to remind me that, he could have been saved, or something could have, happened to him, and I allowed it to happen. Almost like a guilt type thing. He said, that's why I always make sure I bring him a drink, a towel, and something to eat. And he ends up, he did that for years until they moved. He said, but my dad always did it. But that's out of, I think, Maryville, Texas. Told y'all, man, you name somewhere, I might have something. I really might have some. I get people from all over. Now, the Northeast, like I said, I don't really hear much from Northeast, like of America, of the country. I never hear much out of that. But besides from Maine, paranormal chaos. But yeah, I was like, man, that's a brutal story. I mean, I always wonder that too with spirits. They maybe holding a grudge over somebody. For that spirit to remember him of all people. But, I think that's how we're connected in that way. I think we're all connected in some way. I know that I don't want to get all philosophical here, but I think about that a lot. Like, what makes that spirit want to be attached? Is that spirit doing it to everybody that's passed by? You know, I don't. It's just it's interesting to me. I don't know if it was another guy who was a native guy or what, but that's a great story, and I'm mad that I forgot about it until I was looking through my notes earlier, trying to remember stories that people have told me. Let me know what you guys think of that story. Yep. Maybe you're 1,000% right. That's a story with a moral teaching like all our stories and our tradition legends. Yep. There's a lot of stories, too, that, like, I've heard that, I don't know if it's real. There's some of them I don't really tell. Because, like, I try to... People want to hear, as true stories as they can. And, like, I just think... If someone tells me a story, especially someone who never... Like, they're not online... they may have emailed me. They may have heard me on a YouTube channel randomly. Like, I've had people reach out to me and be like, yeah, hey, I want to just tell you the story because I just seem like you might tell it right. I'm like, dang, that's kind of high praise, and it's weird. It's strange, but it happens a lot, more than I can remember. There was a stretch there where I was getting stories every single day. I was so overwhelmed, I started stressing out. I was like, man, how am I ever going to tell all these stories? And there's stories that I don't remember that I have to go back and listen to my podcast because I deleted Facebook. I don't have Facebook. I haven't had Facebook in like 9 months. And I had a lot of stories on there that I wish I just would have copied over. But I didn't. And I kick myself every day for that. But let me know someplace, here in Oklahoma. I got a story for you. Northeast Oklahoma, Central Oklahoma, North Central Oklahoma, South Central Oklahoma, maybe a Southeast story. Yeah, rest in peace to my Facebook. I had a lot of good stuff on there, man. I'm a little mad about it. If you have sent me a story in the past on Facebook, send it to me here on TikTok or email it to me. If you email it to me, it's forever. I'll always keep it. Yeah, man, that's one thing about Facebook, too, that I got so annoyed with. I don't like it when I'm just scrolling and I literally had a conversation with somebody over here and, like, Facebook was like, hey, by the way, would you like to buy this exact same thing that you were just talking about? No, Facebook, stop listening to me. No. So I got rid of it. I don't have Instagram. I have nothing. I have TikTok, X, email, YouTube. So I just could not do it any longer. So this is TikTok, X, YouTube, email. That's how you can get a hold of me. My cousin Maddie says, watching you boosted my mood. Thank you so much. I'm glad. Just give you a little bit of boost. Appreciate that. Finally got a bag. Don't use it. Oh yeah, Facebook. Yeah. I just don't do it anymore. I won't do it. My wife has her Toad & Co. Antique business on Facebook, but other than that, no. I'm not on there. So you try to find me, you're gonna find one of me as a senior in high school, looking all Dapper Dan with my Lakers glasses and my short hair. Looking young as hell. The youngest guy possible. Trent says use Facebook for Marketplace. Yeah, I didn't realize too that there's a lot of moving and shaking happening on there. My wife was telling me about that. And eBay, I didn't realize eBay was still popping like that either. I didn't realize it was popping like that. Maddie was running wild at Cherokee Holiday this week. That's why she's sick? Oh, no. Golly. Calling her out like that. Dang, you was out there kissing. That's why you was getting sick. Jeez. You gonna out her out like that. I forget the Cherokee Holiday blues be happening for real. Y'all really be wilding out like that. Hey, make sure you just ain't kissing your cousin, because everybody related in some way. That's what you got to make sure. What I know people do clans, but I usually do I don't even go that far. What's your last name? Who's your grandparents? Oh, it's so and so. I'm sorry. I could not be with nobody from Muskogee Creek. I'm damn near related to everybody. I find out you're Muskogee Creek, I just say we can and we move on. That's my single days, though. I'm a happily married man now. In my rugged ways. My rugged days. Rugged ways, rugged days. No more. Just fat and happy now. I got... You know, this is another thing, too. I want to talk about nesting weight. That's what I have, is nesting weight. When you have kids and you want to make sure that your kids eat and you don't. Just big bone. That's what I am. My bones are just more dense than yours. And I got to carry all this weight, you know what I'm saying? But that's crazy. Yeah, if you guys got any other stories or areas, I'm going until my phone tells me I can't go no more. So we're going to be here for a little bit. I think I'm at like 30%. Dang, Meebe says, dang, I know. I say dang too, out here outing her like that. She said I was dancing all night. I say dang too, out here outing her like that. She said I was dancing all night. I don't know. Percent left. We better get these stories out. Y'all need to push me in a direction, y'all. I will go where you want me to. I will try my best. I'll try my darndest. But it's been fun. Big backs are beautiful. Hey, I know. Hey, let's see here. Big back. Cut the bacon off your back fat. All right, we got LP. Let's do LP. What LP story, though? Let's talk about an LP story that I got from somebody. Well, I'm gonna tell a few of them since we got a few people that's wanting to hear LP stories. So this is my story. So when we moved to the house that my parents are at now, we were bored. We wanted to explore. There was me, my brother, and my cousin. My cousin passed away when I was 19. He was 18. So I always think about this story when I think about him when I tell a story. But so we're out. We're running around. We're probably 6th grade. I'm 6th grade. He's 5th grade. My brother's 4th grade. And all we have is a little BB gun. So we ain't got no defense. So we're out there, and we start making our way down, because my parents live on kind of a hill, and on the back side of the property it does basically this all the way down to the river. And there's like little, rocky areas where like you could see where the water used to be maybe hundreds of years ago. But so we're making our way down, and we're looking at all the caves. There's like little crevices and dens where coyotes or whatever is down there. And so we're messing around, and we're just having a good time. And we probably left around noonish time. We're just, being kids. Well, with LP, if you notice when you're out and about, let's say you're out in the woods somewhere, family property, and you find a spring, that's kind of where they gather water, or they'll bathe there. Like that's a lot of where they'll hang out there a lot of times. That's what I've been told. You may have been told differently. You can let me know in the chat. But we come across this spring, and we didn't really know a spring was out there. And so we're kind of messing around in it. We're just, we're kids. We're just messing, hanging out. And I remember looking at it, and it looked man-made, but it also looked like it hadn't been kept up in a long time. So we end up just keep going down closer and closer to the river. And we end up, getting past the Army Corps of Engineer fence. And we're on the main trail where there's like dirt bike. People will dirt bike back there sometimes when it's not wet. Well, it had just rained a couple days before that, so the path was a little wet. But I remember we're walking and we're making our way down this river path, and we look down and there's these pads, like these big pads. It looked like either a mountain lion or a wolf or something. But these pads were like this big, like full. It was big. So we get kind of nervous. We should probably get out of here. So we come back, and I remember specifically remembering exactly where we went through. And I remember looking up, and it was still light outside. So I was like, it could have been an hour, maybe or so. So we make our way back up the road or up the hill, and we're looking at stuff. We're just having a good time. We're kids, and eventually I kind of felt like we're getting lost, because like I remember very vividly, something kept pushing us like further down towards like the other side of the property. So like so the wood line. So my parents' house was like this. It's this. Then there's wood line. There's like a pasture, and like pasture grass, and then tree line all the way around. So I'm thinking we're going to the other side where the neighbor was. And we're walking, and I remember just being just like I just felt like something kept guiding us further and further into the more wood area. And I remember we were just laughing, having a good time. And then I started looking around and said, I don't know any of this. I don't even know where we're at. So I started getting kind of nervous. I look at my brother and my cousin, and we're like, hey, we probably need to go home. Like, I don't know where we're at. And I remember my brother was like, oh, no, we're just over here. So all right, prove it. So I remember kind of like, I'm always kind of the one, the leader, but the leader that just reluctantly was in the leader's role, because I didn't really, my brothers ain't really listen, or my brother and my cousin, they did their own thing. They marched to the beat of their own drum. So I remember them walking up, and we started making our way back up to the house where we thought was the house. And we come out on the back side of the property. And one thing that I'll never forget, and it was the weirdest thing ever, it was like one of the weirdest things, is when we got out into the pasture on the back side of the property over there by the neighbor, it was dark. It was getting dark outside. Weirdest thing ever. I mean, we probably, like, the missing time we had was probably 7-8 hours, maybe 6 hours at most. Maybe 6 hours at most, probably 4 at least. I say 7, 8, but like it's not that long. I'm being dramatic. But yeah, it's probably at most 6 hours. So from noon to, and it is the summertime, middle of the summer, probably August. So maybe it got dark at 9. So this is probably 8 o'clock. So it might have been 8 hours. 7 o'clock. The sun was starting to set when we came out. So when we came out, my mom and my aunts were like, oh my God, where have you been? And like kind of freaked out. Like I remember my mom saying, we almost called the police to come get y'all. Because they thought we lost or something. So I remember my mom running out like frantic, like she was upset. And we were just like, didn't know. We're like, what? But we realized, I looked out, I remember looking up, and it was darker. It was getting dark. Weirdest thing, because I remember when we were in the forest, it was light outside. Like you could see the heavy sun coming through the trees. Weirdest thing. That's my LP missing time story. In that same part where we came out, if you guys look on my page, this was, I'll probably have to repost this actually. But I had a perfect circle of a LP, looked like ceremonial kind of thing. My dad found it, and it was perfect. It was like in a perfect circle, and the grass in the middle was beat down, but there were honeysuckles all around. I had that happen to me one time. I was supposed to wake up my, is that boyfriend or best friend at the time when she told me? Oh, best friend, okay. When she told me. Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, whatever that was. I think it was LP. But as I got older, I started talking to some people that could see things. And what's weird about people that can see things is that they know details that you're like, how did you know that? And like, if you look, me being the devil's advocate or arguing or just trying to debunk whatever she was saying. Google Earth, you can't see, but like it's just trees behind the house. Like you can't go inside Google Earth and go through the woods. But this seer, she was telling me that there's something behind y'all's house that ain't right, or it's something weird out there. So I was like, oh, that's weird. It was 12 a.m. in the morning, so I decided to play some games. When I looked at my phone, I had 23 missed calls when I checked the last time. Dang! You must have been addicted. No. But for me, it was only an hour had passed. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, missing time doesn't make any sense to me. Missing time makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. I don't know what causes it. But it's weird, man. That was one of the weirdest times when I remember coming out, going through the woods, looking up. It's like middle of the day. Seemed like come out of the woods. It was like almost. It was getting darker. It was getting dark outside. Quantum immortality. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, Louie, I like when you're in my chat, man, because you get me thinking about things. All right, so let's see here. Let's get on to some more stories before my phone dies, because it's close, y'all. Talk about them owls. Okay. Aaron said try to get you lost. Yeah, Aaron. I remember one time Aaron and then we were going out there to ghost hunt. I wasn't Aaron. I think we was going out there to ghost hunt. LP are called, and I'm not gonna say the word. I don't even know how to say it. Only ever seen little footprints. Yeah, that's crazy. Aaron said, I remember your pops told us to stay out the woods at night. Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember if we were going. I remember mentioning it to him. Because I remember telling y'all. I mean, I've told you that story, Aaron. So that might be why we tried to go out there. That might be why. I can't remember exactly why we were going to go out there. But yeah, my dad told us all, like, no, y'all don't need to be going out there at night. I think it was we were going to go ghost hunting out there or something. Meeb says, have you ever been to places that don't exist, like jumping at a different timeline? I'll tell you something weird. This is funny, actually. Dang, I was in a different world. I know I was. But in a world where I could dunk. So I could dunk, but I couldn't shoot or dribble. Like on the basketball court. I died laughing when I woke up. I said, dang, that's the opposite. Yo, you ever dream that you could dunk and then you couldn't shoot? You couldn't do anything else but dunk. That was my dream. That was weird. I'll tell you another crazy one. I've told this before about my grandpa. I've told this on here, I believe. But I had a dream about him. We were at his gravesite. And he was like, I was having like a vivid dream of him. Your superpower. Dang, I know, superpower to be able to dunk like that. Just be out here just jamming on people. But here I am jumping maybe half a foot off the ground. No, now probably a half a centimeter. Back then I didn't have to jump. I was just too smooth with it. But I'm trying to think. Oh, so I had a dream one time where I was not. I don't know. It was weird. My grandpa didn't look like him, and I think I have mentioned this on TikTok. But like we were somewhere at his gravesite, and he was laying underneath this tree. And I remember asking him to tell me a story, and he was like, "No, you know them all. I don't have to tell you no story. You know them." And I remember at this time, I really wasn't telling stories, and I kind of was just grinding, man, just going for a career, trying to make something of myself, and not really worried about cultural things. Trying to adapt to the Western way of life. Not really caring about much, just kind of doing my own thing, just whatever. And he passed away, and I started having these dreams about him. And he would tell me, you know these stories. You just have to find them. And I'm like, what do you... I'm like really like getting mad in my dream. Like, this feels so real. And he said, here's some of them. Or, here they are. And I remember it was like a college rule spiral notebook. And it was sitting right there. He said, you can have them. They're right here for you. And so I go over there, and I remember kind of walking towards it, and I woke up. But it felt so real. That was one of the last few times that I had dreams like that. Or like I'd have a dream that I was somewhere and I was someone different. But I kind of looked the same, but I didn't. I've had different dreams like that. I think dreams are interesting to me. They have footage of LP in my aunt's classroom in Lawton. Schools are scary. No, yeah. So, you know what's crazy too? I've heard. So I had a gentleman who lives out in Alberta, Canada. He's Cheyenne Arapaho, but he lives up there. Good guy, real good guy. He's also someone who's given me information regarding a certain tribe and their Bigfoot footage. But he was telling me a story that they caught minotaurs on camera out there. So if you don't know what a minotaur is, it's like half man, half... Or centaurs. I'm sorry, not minotaurs. Centaurs. They caught centaurs. Well, centaurs are like half man, like upper body, and then lower body is animal feet. Crazy. Are like half man, like upper body, and then lower body is animal feet. Craziness. Get these stories out. Let's hit that like button too for me, please. I appreciate it. But yeah, they caught centaurs, and he was telling me that the First Nations people out that way were they basically kind of had like different categories. Like one that looks pretty and it draws you in, but when it gets you, it's, evil. There's one that might help you, and it's kind of, just a normal person looking thing. It's native. It looks native, basically. And the other one's just a straight monster. But yeah, he was telling me, but they caught one of those on camera at a school. I was like, ah. But yeah, I haven't really heard much about LP though on the cameras. But that's crazy out in Lawton though. Uncle swore he caught an LP in a pickle jar. We never saw it, but he passed away violently. God. Man, you know what's crazy though? So like, I know a story similar to that. And this is an elder told me this, Cherokee elder. But he said that he knew a medicine guy who kept them. I think they lived in jars or something. I don't know if he closed the lid. He like homed them. Like he allowed them to stay with him. And he had multiple up on the wall. He walked in one day after that old man went to the store. This is an old, I'm talking old. He had multiple up on the wall. He walked in one day after that old man went to the store. This is an old, I'm talking old. Like, you don't see this type of medicine, I don't think, anymore. Like, you don't see this type of medicine, I don't think, anymore. Oh no, unstable connection. Am I good, y'all? Can y'all see me? It's telling me that I'm buffering. I think it's because my... Oh no. Okay, we're back. Yeah, that was weird. It was saying I had no connection. Did I lose y'all? Are y'all good? Everybody good? We good? But yeah, he said that he... Okay, we're here. We're back. Are we back? Are we good? I can't tell. Y'all. Y'all gonna have to tell me. Dire Straits. Okay, it says we're good. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, but yeah, no, he said that he kept these in jars or whatever, but like he let them stay there. But I know Rod from Lodge Tales has a few of those stories too. We have a half man, half bull here where I live on one of the... Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They call them... They're like horses up there, I think, or deer or elk or something. But that's crazy that here they're bulls. That's cool. But yeah, like they always say, you don't mess with those LP unless they invite you into stuff. That's what I was always told. I was always told to leave them alone too. I don't even mess with them. All right, we're good. Perfect. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, my phone is on its last legs. I told y'all. The last thing y'all gonna hear me say is y'all gonna hear me cut off mid-story. Bigfoot Society sent me a heart. Jeremiah, how's it going, man? Are you doing all right? Thank you for sending a heart me, man. Hope you're doing all right. I ain't heard from you in a long time. It's like you disappeared or something. Nah, I'm just kidding. But well, we're going until my phone dies, y'all. But yeah. Let's see here. I'm missing some comments since I. How do you feel about mediums? My oldest sister went to one. I personally think it's not a good idea. I'll tell you something that kind of spooked me out in Eureka Springs. We did a medium thing like that, but she had its science with it. It was weird. But basically, we sat in front of this camera, and it was like AI, but it was like reading our auras or whatever. It was really strange. I'm not gonna lie, kind of spooked me out. But the lady was like, "Yeah, wow, your aura's." She's like, "It's weird," because my wife's was different. Like my wife's looked like good, Like she was, "Oh yeah, you're positive. You're just carrying a lot of." At the time, she was pregnant, and she didn't tell the lady that she was pregnant. But she was like, "Yeah, we can tell that you're carrying something that means a lot to you." And like we both looked at each other because like my wife was pregnant at the time with our second child, and so I kind of knew this lady knew something, But like you couldn't tell my wife was pregnant. It was like early stages. You couldn't tell she was pregnant. So that's how I knew. I was like, this lady might be onto something. And she looked at mine. Literally, my whole entire thing was like purple, but like my aura around me, which is like weird to say this, but like she said there's a dark mass around it. So I was like, ugh. But I don't necessarily disagree with if you want to go to a medium. They just make me uncomfortable because there's certain things that they do find out from somewhere. And I don't know if that's good or not. Because I do know that the demons or whatever you want to call them, the bad evil spirits, they find a way and they know things better than we do. And it's just creepy. All right, moving on down. Let's see here. The LPs live in a pine tree next to the camp house at... Yes, I've heard that too. Man, What You Follow. I don't know if you heard this story, Movie Goon. I always call you Moon Goon, but I don't know why I do that. Movie Goon. My aunt, which is my great aunt, my grandpa's sister, she's passed on. But she told a story about a time out of What You Follow. There was somebody in there levitating after church, after everybody was gone. Have you heard something like that? I don't want to say too much. If you've heard that story, maybe we need to talk about it offline. But like a ghost squatch, like, you know what, man? That's one thing about Sasquatch. I don't really know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if. I just know that there's something around me, I guess you could say. I've always had it. I think it goes back to the medicine that has affected my family for a lot of years. Yeah, somebody was in that church house doing that. I don't know. She walked in, she forgot her code or something. And so it was, at night, and they come back, and there was a dark figure at the pulpit, somebody levitating. I have to re-ask my cousin, but that's what I remember from that story. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I appreciate everyone coming in, jumping in. You know what's crazy about TikTok? People start coming in when I tell y'all, man, I got like 5% on my battery. Dang. Nah, it's all right though. But yeah, Bigfoot Society got me thinking. I don't really know. I haven't really heard much ghost squatch. If anybody has one of those out there, it'd be interesting to hear. Do you believe in astral projection? I do believe in that. The reason why I believe in that is if the CIA is telling us that they can remote view, I believe it. Because they're talking about they remote viewed the Ten Commandments. They found the Ten Commandments, they astral viewed it, and they said that there are entities and beings protecting it. And there have been multiple attempts to try to gather the Ten Commandments from the Bible unsuccessfully. It's a CIA document that was released, some years ago. It's crazy. Yeah, I love it. That's why I love chat. Y'all remind me of some stupid knowledge that I have that I read 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years, whatever it is. I love it. Haven't heard the levitation one, but I had heard singing from. Yep, I've heard that too. Yeah, What You Follow is a creepy. Yeah, Ark of the Covenant too. They've done both of them. Ten Commandments and Ark of the Covenant. They've done both of them. And they said that there's like unforeseen like beings around those two artifacts. I don't know. I wonder if... Okay. This is one of the last hot takes I'm going to give, and then I'm going to get off here. Unless y'all got another... Let's see how much time I got left here. This is one of the last hot takes I'm going to give, and then I'm going to get off here. Unless y'all got another... Let's see how much time I got left here. Get out of here. There's something to these relics of the Bible that have unnatural, supernatural, paranormal existence that we will never understand. Maybe that's something I need to talk about more in depth, but there's something to the Bible that they're not telling us about these specific things. Because do I believe the Bible is factual? I think that there are aspects of it that is, but there's something to these artifacts that governments are fighting tooth and nail to get a hold of. It's like Gilgamesh. They found his tomb in Iraq, and guess what? Not even a couple months later, America said his tomb in Iraq, and guess what? Not even a couple months later, America said we need to get the WMDs out of Iraq's hands. It's craziness. Maybe that's the real battle. But all right, guys. I appreciate everyone who has joined me on this journey. I may be back tomorrow. We will see. But it is so much appreciated that you guys have joined me for these 2 hours, however long. Share YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and I will catch you guys on the next one.